boom
Yeah,
mic.
I have the booms. It's just
That's my baby. That's my baby.
We're going at it at 110%.
I just want 5 minutes of happiness, please. Just give me 5 minutes.
And they scored! They did it!
Left, beat left.
What the hell was that?
Oh, yeah.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Welcome to another Friday with Tarzan and Rachel. I'm still trying to figure out this mic thing, and Dustin feels more comfortable doing it in our living room on the couch. And it's like, really?
I just now realized. I just now realized
It's so funny.
Wow, I feel smart.
So we were just talking, and so another Friday night. We've got actually I have it on my TV. The BKFC 17 is coming on tonight. Frank Tate versus Josh Burns. We're going to watch that the second half of the show.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm super excited. Marine Richmond is fighting tonight, and boy, did you ever see the weigh-ins. If you haven't, go back and look at it, because that looked a little bit brutal there. I mean, they had some words during weigh-in, so that was pretty exciting. So I wanted to go over a little bit over our sponsor reads today. Many of us in our families deal with mental health and addiction issues. We are happy to support the Counseling Center and Sunrise Detox. If you need help, please call 856-651-8117. Please call 856-651-8117. Guys, if you're struggling with anything mental health issue-wise, I know there's a lot going on in the world. Don't be afraid to contact those people. Okay, call them. The Counseling Center and Sunrise Detox. I'm a little tongue. Here we go. Okay, so I want to talk about our first sponsor. So I'm going to point this out. Custom. This is Custom. I'm a firearms instructor, and I'm big into the 2A. And so I have a custom 45 sterling silver bullet, and it's customized with an eagle claw on top with some iolite. Joe Wall is based out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. You can check them out on my Instagram. If you do decide to purchase your custom jewelry piece, ladies and gentlemen, we have Mother's Day coming and Father's Day is coming, ladies, that you can use my code, which would be Blaze10, to get 10% off your order. Again, that would be Joe Wall. It comes in this amazing, he gives you a gun case. So you could put your revolver in here. It opens up just like a gun case.
And your jewelry.
Yes, and your jewelry, which is pretty awesome. I do want to talk about this product just for a second. Pat Militich was on our show not too long ago, and he introduced me to something called Black Oxygen. And I'm always skeptical when it comes to trying new stuff, and I'm very sensitive to like chemicals, and I just can't have a lot of stuff. And so this has been amazing. I placed my order. I've been on this for a few weeks. It's called Black Oxygen, and I'm actually getting ready to sign up to become a rep for it because I believe in it that much. It's changed me. So when I started to feel like I was getting sick, my allergies were acting up. I don't know. Allergies have been really, really bad this year. And so I started to get sick, and it happens every year. I'll have an allergy attack, and then I start to have like sinus issues, and I'll start getting sick. So I take a half a teaspoon of this, and I'm actually going to show you because it's actually pretty cool to watch. So I take a half a teaspoon of my Black Oxygen, and I love it. So I'm going to put it in my glass. Watch this, you guys. This is the coolest thing to watch. It looks a little crazy, but
yeah, just bear with the look.
So it actually comes down, and I forgot to, get my spoon.
Looks so creepy.
So it almost looks like a black tarry type thing. It doesn't really have a taste, kind of a little bit, but not too bad. I'll drink it straight. Cool. I'll drink it on an empty stomach. I usually do 2 half teaspoons per day. If I'm getting a cold, I'll increase it by 3 or 4. And let me tell you, I did that when I started feeling sick, and within 24 hours, no more issues. My sinus issues are gone. And basically, it's a fulvic care. So check it out, Black Oxygen, you guys. I'm getting ready to become a rep for them because that's how much it helped me. And that was, thank you, Pat Milicic, for that. Guys, guess what? We have our first guest, and I'm really, really excited to have him on.
We got one more sponsor.
Okay, I'm sorry, I missed
Pioneer
one.
Project Management, located in Salmonock, Illinois, 6552. Phone number is 815-498-6524. And they're roofing, siding, and gutters and more.
And they do work with your insurance company as well.
Yes, they do.
So when you have an issue. But guys, we have our first guest on, and I'm really, really excited. I'm just going to call him a legend because he's been in the NFL for a long time. He is now retired. His name is Jeff Criswell. He is, to me, a legend. And he played in the NFL. We're going to get ready to talk to him, you guys. Welcome, Jeff. Thank you so much for coming on tonight.
Hey, how are you guys? Good to see you.
Good to see you. It's so funny. I just seen you for like 2 seconds ago, but I just wanted to say you're new to A2D Radio. Why don't you go ahead and tell everybody who you played for, how long you were playing football, and how you got into football?
Yeah, well, I can make the short version or the long version. Which one do you want?
You can do whatever version you would like.
Okay. Well, I had played sports all through junior high and high school, like many kids in the United States. I have an older brother and I have a younger brother. My older brother and I were very competitive. I went to a small school, high school in central Iowa, Lynnville-Sully High School. And I grew up in a town of about 100 people. The name is Searsboro, Iowa. And basically it's a consolidation of schools. And that competition between me and my brother kind of, I guess, made him and I both pretty good athletes over the years. Not only that, we fought a lot. So, we were fist fighting from, I think, the day he was born and I was born, we were at each other. But we both loved athletics. And I actually, living in a small town like that, there's not always a bunch of kids your age that you can just go out in the street and play ball with and hang out with. Sometimes it's more complicated. My father died when I was real young. I was 8 years old. So my mother raised 3 boys and I was the middle one. And so it wasn't like mom could just stop everything. She worked 2 jobs. So, we had to make do. Thank God for my grandpa and grandma. They lived next door. But, I always had somebody to play catch with, particularly football, baseballs. We always had balls in our hands. Unlike yeah, right. Today's youth,
I'm thinking of all kinds of memes and jokes right now.
Oh, sure. Yeah, no, I get it. But unlike today's youth, where they're sitting in front of TVs,
Yes.
playing all kinds of great games. Our games were live. We wanted to go shoot something. We walked the railroad tracks and shot rabbits and whatever else we saw on the tracks. I was carrying a gun by the time I was 12 years old. I had my first shotgun when I was probably 13 years old, and we would go out by ourselves, just me and a couple kids in the neighborhood. I mean, they don't do that nowadays, at least in the cities or places that I live. But back home, you'll still find kids that have, we went through NRA gun safety when I was in 5th grade.
That's excellent.
Got my first thing then, my little card. So they just, it was just part of school. Actually, they taught it in the school. I mean, that's where
wow.
Yeah, it was at the school.
That's when they actually taught you life skills and things like that.
Yeah, well, you had wood shop and you had metal working and you had engine repair.
Gun
you had
class.
all those things, right?
That's
So,
awesome.
but because of that opportunity to have a brother that was a little older and competitive, we played a lot of street football, a lot of street sports. And, by the time I got to be a junior high in high school or junior high, I was already a big kid. I was one of the taller, bigger kids in the class, had a good arm. And, I always consider myself, even when I played in the pros, to have a pretty good sports IQ, football IQ, baseball IQ. I wrestled all through school. I wrestled in the state Iowa and was a state contender, ranked 4th in the state my senior year. Which was a little odd because I was just a tall, skinny guy. I weighed about 185 pounds, 6'7". So it wasn't like I had a lot of size on me.
You are tall.
Yeah,
I was gonna ask, like, how tall are you?
6'7" back then. And funny enough, my senior year when I was wrestling, I wrestled a kid the same height as me and beat him out to go to the state tournament. And but we were the 2 tallest kids in the state tournament that year. I played basketball too. I liked it. I was pretty good at it, but it really didn't challenge me the way that wrestling did. And I'd wrestled since I was in 4th or 5th grade. We went to tournaments every weekend. So all around, athlete and just love sports. And what a great pastime. I mentioned that my father died young, and when I was little, my mother was our mentor. She was kind of my hero. She really made sure that we had everything we needed. Hell, I never had a brand new pair of shoes until I got in high school. I had hand-me-downs up until probably my junior year in high school. I would get clothes from different relatives or whatever that were older than me. But by the time I got to be a junior, I grew so quickly that kind of ended. There wasn't anybody really my size anymore. So that was a little bit difficult. But yeah, so I ended up playing quarterback all through school and defensive line, which was kind of an odd combination. But when you're playing for a small school, you end up having a lot of hats to wear, and so that's the hats I wore. And I also punted, but I was an all-state quarterback. Interestingly enough, as I came out of high school, I got recruited by a lot of bigger teams. Iowa State, Division I, but quite frankly, nobody knew where to put me. I was not probably good enough to be a D1 quarterback, not big enough to be a D lineman, but had a lot of athletic ability, and they may have saw me at like a tight end or some kind of ball handler, but that probably was where I was headed. And as I narrowed it all down, I decided that wasn't going to work for me. I wanted to play ball when I got there. So my older brother was going to Graceland University, a year older than me, playing football there. I went down on a trip, and I went down and I went to a couple parties there and had a great time. And I said, I can see myself playing here. And so that's where I went. I ended up going to Graceland as a kind of a tight end. I got a small scholarship. Graceland's in southern Iowa. It's a school of about 1,000 students, and it was interesting because it was a school kind of backed by the reorganization of the Latter-day Saints. So it was a Christian-based school, but if you weren't affiliated with the RLDS, then you really weren't part of them. And it was so you kind of felt like you were outcasted a little bit, and it made it a little bit difficult at times. But as I got older and kind of became the big man on campus, it was really an awesome experience. But I moved over from tight end to offensive line really out of attrition. Several guys that were playing offensive line my freshman year got hurt, and we were literally out offensive linemen. And so they asked me if I wanted to play left tackle. I said, sure, why not? It gives me a chance to play. I was sitting on the bench, and pretty much I made that my home for the rest of those 4 years I was there, and became an All-American. Really, I always had some thoughts of playing in the National Football League, or at that time, the USFL was still around. And actually, I got drafted in '85. I got drafted to the Orlando Thunder. Was not drafted by the NFL. So just my luck. The league went under that same year. Right after the draft, they folded their tents, and that was it. So that didn't work out, and so basically I had an agent. He sent me up to Montreal Alouettes in Canada, and I was there for 2 weeks and got cut on the practice field. By that time, I was kind of thinking maybe it wasn't going to happen. So I moved to California, and I figured, heck, man, a lot of my friends live here. I really love the California sun and the girls, and I'm just going to move out here and chill out. And I got in the fitness industry, and I started working for a large fitness facility there that had a lot of clubs. Became a manager, and lo and behold, the strike happened in 1987. So I'd set out a year and a half of football, pretty much thinking it was over, but I still had an agent, and thank God I was in the fitness industry and working out all the time, because they were pulling guys off the street to make up their teams, to play in these teams. And I ended up going to the Indianapolis Colts. So that was my first experience in the National Football League. And now with the draft, I did a podcast last night with a bunch of guys I played with.
Oh, that's exciting. What was it like? Like a reunion?
Well, it was guys that had been, I say played with, it's more of the fraternity thing where they were in the league. I didn't play with them, but we're friends now, and we have working relationships, and we put together this podcast for a friend of mine who has a CBD oil company that's called Marilon. Anyway, we did it for him. It was kind of a promotional thing. It was kind of cool. But we did it all the way up till a half hour through the draft. And, somebody said, well, we had questions and answers from people that were calling in. And somebody asked us, what was my first experience with the National Football League? And I think mine's probably a little different than most guys that came in the league, either as a free agent or drafted. Because I came in as a strike player, there was a lot of animosity towards us. As a matter of fact, when I got off the plane, I was met with an armed guard and taken to a hotel where we had full-time security, bomb-sniffing dogs. The union was out to get us. And so throughout the league in 1987, there was a lot of pissed off people. A lot of people were pretty upset. A lot of players. We had we would drive in on a bus to the practice field, and all the regular players would be outside throwing rocks and crap at us. But regardless, we were there, and we got our opportunity. I started 3 games there, and then the strike was over. Basically, that was my first opportunity to get on film. It was the first time I'd ever played on AstroTurf. It was the first time I'd ever played against Division I players, because most of the guys they brought in were all D1 guys, that had played either somewhere or, had gotten recruited. But I was pretty proud of myself that, I was able to compete at that level and learn very quickly, what it was going to take. And after that, I ended up signing a long-term contract with the New York Jets. So I stayed there for 7 years, and then I became a free agent in 95, where I went on and played the last 4 years of my career with the Kansas City Chiefs.
Wow. Oh, my goodness. That is quite a career. Oh, my goodness. Speaking of, I have to ask, what was it like playing with Joe Montana?
Well, I never played with Joe Montana. I missed him by a year. I got there in 95. He retired after 94.
Okay.
But I will tell you this. I played against him a couple of times. He kicked our ass, and it wasn't fun. We got beat pretty badly, actually. So I do remember it. And I remember the first time we played him was at the Meadowlands in New Jersey at home. And actually, I remember Charles Haley a lot more than I remember who was their defensive end. Wow. Because he was the guy that just terrorized the league at that time. And I think he ended up getting like 2 sacks on me that game. It was not pretty. I think that was in 89.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So, but from what I know about Joe Montana is that he's a great guy. All the guys in Kansas City who played with him loved him. You know, obviously he was a winner, and he brought winning and kept winning in Kansas City, because Kansas City had been winning anyway, you know, even without him.
Yeah, Joe's an awesome guy. I haven't had an opportunity to interview him, but maybe I can get him to come on, maybe. But I you know, going into the next question, what was it like? So you played for the Jets. What was it like playing against the Patriots?
Well, actually, back in those days, the Patriots weren't nearly as good. I mean, in the late '80s, from our standpoint, from the Jets standpoint, they beat us like maybe that first year in '88 that I was there, but we pretty much had their number all the way up through when I left there in '95. They never did. I think they might have beat us one time, but for the most part, we had their number. And Miami too. I mean, as far as that goes, you know, we played against Dan Marino, was playing at that time. We always had big shootouts with him. You know, our scores would be like 48-38. You know, big offensive yardages and you know, just a lot of fun. If you're on offense, it was great, and it was really whoever had the ball last usually won the game.
Oh, wow. And now, you know, going to the Patriots, they won so many championships, and then they had that big whole, like, they deflated the balls or they've been cheating. Do you really think the Patriots, look, I'm a huge Patriots fan. Sorry. But do you really think they cheated?
So, you know, it's funny about that, because my knowledge of back in those days when I played, and I'm sure up until that particular incident with Brady, the game balls are always provided by the home team, and pretty much those game balls are given to the equipment manager. The equipment manager always came out, and the starting quarterback and the backup quarterback always had a chance to handle them before the game, you know, like a day or so before the game. They wanted to see how they felt, because believe it or not every football feels the same. That's true. True. And so what they would do is if they needed to scuff them up a little bit or play with them a little bit, sometimes they may have let a little air out or a little air in, you know, but everybody did it. Everybody. It's just that in this situation, somebody somebody jumped on Brady and the New England Patriots for doing it.
See, Steve, I knew it. They didn't cheat. I knew it. I told you.
That's not cheating.
They didn't cheat.
Right?
No,
I don't think
yeah.
think it's cheating at all. I don't think it's cheating at all.
What do you think made them a good team? Do you think it was just all Tom Brady, or do you think it was a combination of everybody they had on board?
It was Tom.
I have to ask that question because
they've had good teams, though. I mean, you know, it's hard to say after my Chiefs got beat here this last time. You know, I guess it looks like, you know, Brady's the missing ingredient up there in New England, but what I know about football is that it has cycles, you know, and Tom has had a long cycle.
Very long. I'm wondering when he's going to retire.
And he's playing with a team in Tampa, and even more so this coming year, because they've kept everybody that played last year. They've kept plus some now, you know, with the draft. So, you know, he's really got an opportunity to possibly do it again, you know. But, you know, New England, from a team standpoint, they've had good teams, and you know what? They're a better team. They're going to be a better team this year. They picked up Mac Jones. New England's where he wanted to play. He fits that profile of a pocket passer, a game manager. So, you know, and, you know, Cam Newton's still there as well. And you just don't know what you're going to get with Cam Newton. You know, Cam, he had a run early on in his career, and he went to the Super Bowl, and then it all kind of, the wheels fell off. But I think they can get back on too. And, you know, I wouldn't want to count New England out, not to mention they're in the AFC North or East. So, you know, that's the Jets, the Bills, New England, you know, in Miami. Anybody can win in that division except the Jets, who have not been winning anything, but maybe this year. I always stay optimistic.
Let's see. Elijah Moore to the Jets. That's what George is saying. What do you think about the draft? So what did you guys talk about last night? Was there anything that stood out for you guys?
So when you talk about the draft, it's interesting because typically I've not been a guy who's followed very much college football and, all these prospects that come out. Quite frankly, they come out and they come and go, and only a small percentage of them ever live up to their billing. So for me, I just kind of waited to see if any of them ever made their name, I guess. When I played, because I was a free agent from nowhere and earned my starting job the hard way, I earned it. I saw guys all the time. I mean, even with the Jets, they were always trying to bring in guys to take my job because I was never anybody's guy. I wasn't any GM's guy. I wasn't recruited that way. And we turned over head coaches so much that you just never knew. So I saw guys come and go. I saw first rounders, third rounders, guys that they put in starting roles. Ironically enough, they did better on other teams after they got cut from the Jets. I always thought that was a little bit of irony there, that they didn't do very well with the Jets, but then they went and became Pro Bowlers somewhere else. I don't know. Murphy's Law, I guess.
Is that a coach issue? No.
No, I think it's, I think there's a little bit of luck with what happens in winning and losing column, because everybody prepares and everybody's trying and everybody is giving it their best almost all the time, and sometimes it's just how that football's funny shaped, right? It's not round, and so you just don't know how it's going to bounce for you, and we took a lot of bad bounces when I was with the Jets. Unfortunately, went to the Chiefs, it was a whole different story. For all those years that I played with the Jets and had those losing records and had all that media tabloid on us all the time, finger pointing, firing coaches and players.
Yeah.
And that's a rough life. It's a rough way to play, your career when everybody's a winner. And then you go to a winning team, somebody that's had a lot of success like the Chiefs did back in the 90s and even now. Those guys had no clue when I would start to tell them about things that the Jets were doing. And we tried everything. We tried subliminal messaging in the locker room. We tried everything as you could think of, and it just didn't. So when I went to the Chiefs and I was telling guys, that we did this or this was the atmosphere, they were just like, we don't even know what you're talking about. That's it's not what we do here. So just get that shit out of your brain. It's not going to be part of our program. So that's what I did.
I can't imagine the nerves of all the players while their names are being called. What do you think is going on in their brains as their names are being called? Do you think they're nervous? How do you prepare for something like that? How do you prepare for the draft?
Oh, for the draft? Well, again, it's a little hard for me to say because I wasn't drafted, nor did I think that I was going to be drafted. So I wasn't sitting around draft day, worrying if I was going to get drafted or not. But there's always a lot of anticipation. A guy like Trevor Lawrence, who went in the first round, the first pick, he knew where he was going. He'd already bought a house, in Jacksonville, and he was already.
Everybody's moving to Florida.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to be there too in a couple of years. We've got a place down there in Fort Myers right now, a condo, and we were looking for homes there this year. But that's another story.
Yes.
Yeah.
Whole other show. So, What are some of your most memorable moments playing football?
Well, there's nothing like winning. Winning is, I hate to say everything, but it really is, because when you're winning, the things that you did wrong are things that you can fix. When you're losing, the things that you did wrong will cost you your job, and it's just a different mentality. So winning games, winning championships. I wasn't fortunate enough to, in the 12 years I played, to be on a Super Bowl team, but we did win the AFC West a couple times with the Chiefs. Went to the playoffs once with the Jets, and you start to kind of get a taste of how the intensity level picks up once you get in the playoffs. It's single elimination. You get one shot or you're out, and you rally the troops and you go into battle, and I miss that camaraderie. That would be maybe something guys would say they also miss. Just being in the locker room, being around the guys. I mean, I had more fun just sitting around the locker room waiting for practice to start, playing practical jokes on people. The dumbest things you could think of. All of us multimillionaires laying on the floor in there. You just wouldn't believe it. We used to laugh at all in our meetings. We'd be in there. Guys would be, having gas and stuff and just thinking up the room and all kinds of stuff. And you'd be like, and then we'd laugh and then somebody'd say, hey, you guys, I wonder what the guys at IBM are doing right now. I'm trying to make $100,000, and we're all in there, making millions of dollars, parting around the room. It's just
literally.
Oh, there were guys. There were times that like somebody would stick their nose in our room just to see what we were doing, and they would run out of that room. It was just terrible.
Okay, I gotta ask, what is it with the ass smacking? You guys smack each other on the ass. Is that like?
Oh, I don't think we did it that much. I think if people, I don't think I can't remember an incident where.
I'm like, who started that?
Yeah, you know what? It's just a nice, good game. I don't know. I never patted anybody on the butt.
Like, hey,
Hey,
good game there,
so,
girl.
Quick question for you. What was your most memorable or your favorite game you've ever played?
Well, it's probably a game we won and probably a game where I played well. I played a lot of games. I played in 171 games, started 146 of them. We beat Denver Broncos in Denver one year when that helped us to win the AFC West. That was a pretty memorable moment. There was a game back in 91. I was with the Jets. We played. We had to play the Miami Dolphins, and whichever team won was going to go to be in the playoffs. And I remember we went down to the wire in that game in a shootout with them, and we ended up winning with a field goal. Raul Alegre kicked it. And
just real quick, want to note to some of the listeners, they're going to be jumping over to YouTube because the rest of the fam are going to go live for the draft results, and the Eagles are on the clock as Big George is down there in the chat letting us know. That's all.
Yeah.
I'm hop back up. Just
Sorry,
letting you know. Oh, hey, ain't no sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt either, Joe.
No, you're fine.
I didn't know there was a question. I just kept seeing him like, hey, what is he doing? Is he like giving us a play-by-play?
It's draft day,
Oh, okay. He's giving us a play-by-play.
Day 2 just started, and the Eagles are now officially on the clock, and you know how it is in Philadelphia.
Oh, God, Steve. You Phillies. Go back to Philly steaks.
Jeff played in New York. He's close enough to know how it is. The preseason games in Philadelphia always are crazy.
We used to scrimmage them in practice in preseason. They would either come up or we would meet somewhere. Like we used to go down somewhere in Jersey. I think it was Raleigh, or it might have been Raleigh, Pennsylvania. And we would go down and we would scrimmage the Eagles. I remember back one year they came up to scrimmage us at Hofstra where we were practicing, and that's when William Perry was playing for them. And William Perry, they called him the Fridge, but at that point he was more like a dump truck. He weighed about 400
I know
pounds.
Exactly when you were talking about. It was when he left the Bears. And he came here. I think it was the second or third year, like free agency was here.
Yeah,
but
he weighed close to 400.
Yeah, he was 350 plus. He was 350 plus.
He fell down on me. We had a running play, and he fell on my leg. And thank God I fell with it. I went with it instead of trying to resist it. And I could not move my leg at all to get it out of there. I mean, it felt like a truck had ran over it. And it sprained my ankle a little bit, but thank God I fell down with it, and it didn't just, break my femur and, my bones.
Wow.
I remember playing against him in a Monday night game in 85, or no, 88 or 9. And we were in Chicago, and they pretty much had their whole Super Bowl team still. And I remember looking at Fridge. We just scored a touchdown early in the game, and he was standing by me, and his helmet barely fit over his head, and his ears were hanging out under his helmet, and he didn't even have his chin strap strapped. And I said, Fridge, don't they have a helmet that fits you? And he was like, no, man, that's all they got, man. That's all they got. And that was it. It was the funniest looking thing. This helmet just stuck way up on his head.
I remember exactly what he's talking about, because you couldn't find one. His head was just
monster.
Custom, right?
That's why they had to create these other helmets and stuff like that.
I think
the guys like Fridge.
I think his ring size on his finger was 21, which mine's a 13. Mine's a 13. His is a 21.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Like part ogre or something.
Wow. Yeah.
Are
Fridge
you,
was a big boy.
are you buying into any of these Roger trade rumors or at all?
He's not going anywhere.
Yeah, that's what I
think.
think.
You don't trade the MVP.
Not the MVP. He's arguably, like, outside of Tom Brady, probably one of those guys you talk about in the top 5 of the last 20-year quarterbacks.
Yeah, no, he's a legend. I mean, that guy, he's more than Hall of Fame. He's going to be in if not number 1, he won't be number 1 in statistics. I don't think he'll ever be there, but that guy's a winner for sure, and they're not getting rid of him. Without a doubt.
Now, you've been naming some names. Like who are some of the you named Haley, other guy. Who are some of the guys from that era that you enjoyed competing against, or maybe it was really, really fun to compete against them because they were just unique characters.
So
Kevin Green was always one of my favorite from that era.
So my nemesis was Bruce Smith from Buffalo.
Oh, of course.
And so I played left tackle, and he was the right defensive end. Bruce is the all-time NFL leading sack rusher, or leading sacker. He's got like 100, I forget, it's 100 something sacks. It's like 100 plus 20, 130 sacks, something like that. Anyway, when I first started playing against Bruce in Buffalo, Bruce was in his heyday, and I was a rookie basically, and I remember him just tearing me up. I mean, I think I made one of his highlight reels. I was he used to have a commercial for Nike, and the tag was "Bad Things, Man, Bad Things." And it was him putting me in a spin move. They'd show this same thing every time, be me in a spin move. I think he patented that on me, and then they'd go, "Bad things, man, bad things."
Oh, you should be happy with this pick. The Eagles with the selection.
Well, I think their
they
first
go
pick,
center. They're grooming Jason Kelsey's replacement.
Steve, you're cutting in and out.
Yeah, I think I am a little bit. Sorry.
Well, I think their first pick is going to complement Jalen Hurts for sure.
Now here's the thing I think about it. It doesn't just compliment Jalen Hurts. Obviously, they have rapport together from their time.
Right.
But I also think he compliments the pick from last year. I see a lot of people. Them picking Smith there says that Rager's a bust, but he's a bust. I'm like, okay, how's he a bust? He didn't even get a chance to really play last year. Yeah, he got hurt. Yeah, I'm sure he's not rubbing Philadelphia fans all the right way. But tell me how getting Smith with Hurts and Rager is that not a repeat of Deshaun Jackson, Jeremy Maclin, and probably a younger, more athletic Donovan McNabb in Jalen Hurts at this point in time?
Dude, you're way deep into the Eagles, way deeper than I am.
Well, I'm sure you. Obviously, I am.
I know
Look, Mr.
I know
Philly guy,
handful.
sit back and eat your chili or your Philly cheesesteak, okay?
Chili cheese.
Yeah, I know. I have a couple. I know a couple guys on that team. I watched a little bit. I watched the Giants quite a bit, so I did get to see them play. But for the most part, I can't stand Philadelphia.
Oh,
You know what?
I high five you on that one.
I'll tell you.
Got real quiet for a second.
Insiders.
Like-
Here's a little insider story about the old stadium before they tore it down.
Oh, the vet. Let's hear it.
Yeah,
Let's hear a vet story.
So it was a well-known insider secret that the visiting team's locker room joined next to, with just a separation of a door, right to the cheerleaders' locker room, not just their locker room, but the shower area. So you could actually go there and you could see, if you were a perv, which I wasn't, of course, but you could see right into the locker room area. And I remember, I won't mention names, but I remember a guy, he was checking it out. They knew you were doing it. It wasn't like they didn't know this. And I remember he was trying to peek through there, and all of a sudden, one of those girls shot some baby powder at him right through the door. Oh, it was hilarious. But in today's world, if that were to happen, oh my God, could you imagine the backlash that would come from women activists and the NFL taking a side? I mean, geez.
Oh my God.
Somebody
you can't do that today. Like as much as like, we come from that age where, I mean, that's all in fun and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, with how, I guess, the world's changed, technology's changed, like, everything's all differently. People take everything differently these days. So
yeah, but anyway, that was a very well known insider secret for the visiting team.
That's hilarious. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, we've heard a lot of stories about Veterans Stadium. Mostly, from the fans or the condition of the stadium. But I think that has to be a new one for me.
Yeah, well, no, I'm telling you, not very many people have ever told that story. I'm sure. It was a secret.
Secret door.
Steve, you're pulling on the secret.
Jeff dropping these dimes on us. Gotta love it.
I love it, and he doesn't like the Phillies. I love it.
Oh,
but wait.
Why don't we like the Phillies? I gotta hear this one.
The Eagles.
Yeah.
I don't like the Eagles.
Oh,
Yes.
Of course. I mean, you got to think of the two teams he comes from. It's just not like.
But wait a minute.
Sorry, he doesn't have to like the Eagles. It doesn't mean I don't like him.
One time when we were going down to a preseason game against the Eagles, I remember this was in '88. My first year there with the Jets, and we were on a bus. We bussed it because it was just, it was one of those gray areas where it was too close to fly. So we just busted. It was like 3 hours, 3.5 hours or something like that. And as we got onto the New Jersey Turnpike and we were just getting off of it, we got pulled over by the New Jersey State Patrol. The buses did. And evidently they knew from the escort that we were getting, once we got off the turnpike, we were getting a police escort into town, which that's common. So they pulled us over, and all they wanted was Mark Gastineau's autograph. So Gastineau had to get off the bus and give this guy an autograph so that we could continue on our way.
Oh my goodness. The perks.
Yeah.
The perks.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he wanted an
Mark G.
autograph.
And speaking of which, he's been, dealing with his medical stuff. Do you keep in touch with him?
Yeah. No, Mark retired mid-season, my first year there. So I didn't get to really know him very much while he was there. But since then, through the NFL Legends, the retiree program we have, where every team in the league has things they set up for us legends, us old guys. And with the Jets,
here in Chicago.
Yeah, the Jets, they have like a golf tournament. They bring us out to certain games, like we have the alumni weekend there at the stadium. And so I've gotten to know Mark a little more, and of course on Facebook and different things that I know, and have talked with him about some of the things that he's been going through physically. He claims that they diagnosed him with Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, ALS, all three of them. And then he had 4-stage colon cancer here that he's recovered from and is in remission now.
Like I said, man, like that's why I asked, because like as of right now, like he's literally like he has a rough battle and been going really going through it, and like, you know, uh, we talk about it a lot because me and Rachel go through what we're seeing, some of the MMA fighters that we grow up or going through.
Yes.
You know, Chuck
Yes.
Liddell and some of these guys who shouldn't be fighting, shouldn't be compliment fighting, and then you see, you know, some of these NFL players and some of the stuff that's come out over the past 10, 15 years. It's one of the reasons like why we got in the media, because we wanted to make sure these stories don't get buried, that they you know, these athletes still have a voice to say, hey, this is what's happened, this is my story, this is what's going on. So it's just one of those things like, hey, we got to make sure that Mark's okay. You know what I mean?
And that was part of the poll question. You know, like, I'm glad you brought that up, Steve, because one of the poll question tonight was, should MMA fighters have retirement benefits? And I agree. We talked about this before. Like the NFL, they treat you guys very well, and I love the fact that they do that. But in combat sports and MMA, they don't do that so much as far as retirement goes, unless it's changed, Steve.
You know, here's the thing. I mean, where the NFL has come from the time that I got in, earning $60,000 was the minimum, to where it is now. Yeah, it's night and day, right?
Okay.
But from a standpoint of taking care of us, I mean, dazzling us with little trinkets, you know, is not what we're looking for. I mean, just recently, because of this $2.2 billion contract that they just did with I think ESPN did it with them, we were able to get our pension raised a little bit. But when you're talking a little bit of a raise, you're talking like $300, you know, more in your pension check. For a lot of guys who played and made the game what it is, you know, Bart Starr, all the way up through Joe Namath and Lenny Dawson, and the guys who played all the way up until 1998. They hadn't been getting anything in their pensions. They played 10, 12 years. Most of those guys back in those days had to work jobs, you know. They would go play football, and then they would go, you know, bartend or whatever they had to do to provide for their family, particularly in the off season. You know, now guys make enough money, but you know, we still don't have any insurance.
Yeah, I think people tend to forget what the boom of like the early 90s, you know, late 90s, early 2000s NFL.
It happened with the Reggie White lawsuit. I mean, that's what created free agency.
Absolutely.
And that's what created free agency, and that's what made the big change. But at the end of the day, that's for guys who are playing. The guys who haven't been, you know, that are retired, I mean, we've been struggling to get things paid. I mean, they gave us this year just a little bit about the CBA. They gave us a $50,000 lifetime fund. So each player gets a fund of $50,000 that they can draw from for different medical things, but we still don't have insurance. You know, we still don't have medicals insurance taken care of. They will help you, like if you have a joint replacement, knee joint, elbow, hip, whatever. You have to fill out a whole gamut of paperwork, and then supposedly I've heard from a few guys that have had it done and said that they actually pay for reimburse you for that. Okay. You know, those are no joke surgeries, and they cost a lot of money. I mean, yes, hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so that's just up until recent that happened for us. So MMA, man, they need to get a union put together, and they need to make that union work for them, because that's the only way they're going to make these owners or the whoever owns all of this. I'm not certain the UFC how it's balanced out in that federation, but.
Well, now they just became a public tradable thing. So like,
yeah, I just saw that Dana White made that announcement.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I said, like a lot of people give Dana a hardship over things, and we should. There's some things that he deserved criticism for. Maybe he shouldn't act the way he acts about it, but he does a lot of good things, and you know, for overall, and he's done a lot right over the last 4 to 5 years with trying to take the company in the right way to make it better for everyone. He can't fix everything all at one time. You got to remember where that sport come from and where it is now. you have to be impressed by that alone.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Well, and quite frankly, they're not. When you're talking the MMA, and I know there's a lot of amateur MMA guys out there that are competing, but when as a spectator, what I see are the guys in the rings on the UFC, fight night. Those are people that I see regularly on it, and there's not a lot of them. Quite frankly, there's in the NFL, there are estimated 20,000 living retired players that they have to take care of, or they're not taken care of.
That's what I'm saying. It's peanuts compared to what MMA is, because it's just what the NFL team is. You have your current what you have is
there's over 1,600 guys on between all 32 teams in the active rosters. And
that varies from season to season.
But see, all of those guys are taken care of. All those guys are paid, their insurance all taken care of by the teams, and all that's covered, man. Anything goes wrong, boom, they got the best coverage in the world. It's the guys that the day after actually it's a year, because they give you a Cobra plan for 1 year after you retire, and then you're on your own.
Makes you wonder if that's is that why Tom isn't like retiring, or is he just? I've never.
Oh no, he loves football. He's not retiring because he's got more money than God.
he really does.
Well, no, I mean, like, you got to think of where he's at right now. Like again, people can hate on Tom, and people tend to forget like how commercial the end of Montana's career was, like how big he was. People forget about that. The Levi's commercials. Joe was everywhere too. People forget about that.
The Gronk was everywhere for a while too.
Money's not an option, not a worry for guys.
Tom loves football. He's literally like, that's why everyone likes to play with him. He's like the ultimate competitor. He's also the guy's guy too.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll give you an example. Like just from my period, back in maybe my last season. The average starting left tackle in the National Football League, say in the top 5, the number 1 guy was probably making somewhere around $6 million. That'd be the number 1 guy, $4 to $6 million. Now that same guy in today's market, it's over $13 million. So it's more than double now what a guy's making as an offensive lineman. Starting in the National Football League. So it's the economics are
now. I mean, especially you have the tackle position is obviously where the money is when we're talking about offensive linemen now.
Yeah, but what you find now is that these guys are so interchangeable, right? I mean, guys that can play guard can play tackle, and vice versa, really. I mean, and the way that these quarterbacks get rid of the football. I mean, when I played, we were still drop back, seven-step drop quarterbacks, And now these guys can throw behind their, like Mahomes can throw behind his back. And score touchdowns with it, I mean, they're so versatile.
Fingertip throws in the corner of the end zone. The guys can only dream to make.
In 2 seconds. If I had a guy that could have got rid of the football in 2 seconds, I never would have gave up a sack the whole time I played.
You think that's probably the biggest difference between now, just the evolution of the athlete in general? Like you have athletic core, but I mean, everyone's athletic on the field now. Is everything just faster? It doesn't matter how big you are anymore?
Well, I think I just think schematically and coaching philosophy has changed dramatically. And, where there used to be an emphasis on the running game, now it's all passing, right? And you get these guys that can do both, run and throw, and move out of the pocket, because the game doesn't stand still in the pocket. And that's a problem that you got. That's the problem I have with pocket passers, and I played with a bunch of them. They usually, if they don't get rid of that football after the fourth or fifth step in rhythm, they're probably going to get sacked, because that defensive line is so much better nowadays across the board. It used to be they'd maybe have 1 or 2 guys on the defensive line, and with a linebacker that could create pressure, and you could scheme for that. Now you got 5 guys that can rush the passer up and down the deal. You never know where it's coming from.
Well, yeah, because now the secondary is way more involved in blitzing schemes now than they were 10, 15 years ago.
And it's not even the secondary. It's just man for man, defensive linemen have gotten better over the years as a group, more so, in my opinion, than the offensive line play has. But because of that,
I mean, yeah, like we talk about Reggie, but like you see guys like Aaron Donald and the kid that just came out of the draft is playing for Washington, Chase Young. He's that guy's going to be a problem for everyone in the NFC East.
Yeah, but he's like X Factor, he's like a freak.
Yeah, he like that, but he's in that same mode of what you see in Aaron Donald. He's another one of those guys. He can play anywhere along the line. He can play defensive tackle. He can play defensive end. He can play left end. He can play right end. He can play anywhere on that line. When you have guys like that was almost unheard of back then.
Yep, that's true.
I mean, and we sort of do it here in Philadelphia with Brandon Graham, not as quite as much. He goes inside on what they call their NASCAR package because they go light inside for whatever when they're just trying to go after everyone. But I mean, like you're right, man. It's just these guys are just insane. Like where you see that the talent level, out of your linebackers to now where.
Well, I would say that an interior defensive lineman can play outside and do pretty well, but 265, 270 pound outside defensive end or edge guy. He can move inside very well. He's just not big enough. I mean, it's not going to work out very well. You don't really see that ever happening. Back in my day, Lawrence Taylor played what's called a spinner package, and he would line up on the nose, but he was standing up, but he would go one way or another, or he'd back out of there. You just never knew where he went. He was one of the few guys who could get in there and mix it up,
We ever gonna see another one like LT or he's probably him and those Ray Lewis type linebackers or you're never really gonna see them again.
I don't know. I mean, we're going to see some linebackers. Obviously, most of these linebackers they don't put them in a 4-point. They don't put them on the line of scrimmage anymore. Derek Thomas, he was kind of a dying breed. There's there's a few guys, but pretty much it's more geared to that hybrid defensive end guy now that can sometimes drop back in coverage and in their and some of the packages that they have. But you're not seeing a lot of true linebackers, outside linebackers, because they don't play a lot of 3-4. They play a lot of 4-man lines, right? So that guy's usually in coverage.
Hey, Steve, I know Destin had to take a moment to go to the bathroom, so I'm sorry. He does have a question when he comes back.
I know we still have a few minutes before your next one should be on.
Okay, good.
He's not
Destin
in the back.
He really wanted to get into.
Yeah, I know. I kind of took it over a little bit. My bad.
I know. I'm like, Steve. No, it's okay. We love you, Steve. Go and eat your Philly steak. I'm just kidding. There you go.
As long as everyone gets it from the right place, I don't care.
You're fine. Actually, it sounds so good right now, but I'm on a diet. Yeah, Destin will kick my butt if I cheat. So Destin has some questions about like the physical part of the sport. Yeah. So he's going to ask you some questions.
What was your training regiment like? What was like on season and then your off season?
Well, I've always been a dedicated weightlifter and have always been able to self-motivate myself to get in the gym and really to work out and to try different things. Back when I played, a lot of the core training stuff that they do now was just kind of coming into it. We would do some plyometric stuff and training. We trained if we went to work on our speed and our agilities. We would work off of cones and stuff. It's different now because guys are hiring personal trainers, with them, and everybody's kind of got that core training mixed into it, where they're not really lifting as much weight as they are working on agilities or flex kind of training where they're working on flexibility, I know that I'm a football coach for Brunswick, and my guys are always telling me, "Hey, coach, I'm doing this and doing that." And I guess I'm old school. I kind of thumb my nose at it, like, well, what are you squatting? What are you power? What are you power lifting? Where's the heavy work that you're putting in? I hear all this fluffy stuff, but you still got to put the heavy work in if you want to be powerful and you want to gain mass. You're not going to gain mass by high repetitions and low weight.
Great. I just want to let you know Sean's in the back, so I'm just gonna,
I saw your text.
yeah, I'm
Thank you.
gonna
Thanks.
throw him in a minute. So
Bye,
just
Steve.
gotcha.
Okay. Sorry, go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, no. So it was, back in my day, like I said, the team started to evolve into more of, dynamic type training, and I went with that. But I was always just, hardcore squatter, power lift, jerks and cleans, and it's just straight military press, just different mobility type exercises, for the minor muscle groups. And my running, actually, by the time I got retired, the only running I was really doing in the off season, which I did all the time, was on a treadmill. I didn't get out and do a lot of sprints. Back when I was younger, though, I would do bleachers and all that crap, Yeah. But I found what worked for me. I was always in great shape. I'm always in good shape. I'm in good shape now, for my age. So just don't look like
it's more on the weightlifting aspect in the off season, right?
And flexibility. I was very flexible. I was 6'7", 300 pounds when I played. I ran a 5 flat 40. I could jump okay. I didn't have a lot of up skills, but the thing that I think I was never the biggest or the strongest. I think the thing I hang my hat on the most is that I was a very quick learner and have a very high IQ for sports, in general. The coach only had to tell me one time when I was young, basically what to do. Now, whether I did it or not, had the ability to do it or not, that was different, because I messed up just like everybody else. But I knew what he wanted me to do, and I practiced on that, and that's what I ended up doing.
Now you said how much did you say you weighed again?
So I weighed 300. I averaged around 300 back in the day.
Wow.
What's it like carrying that weight around? Because
it's more of like, because he's so tall.
Yeah, but I was probably only about 12 to 15% body fat. So I wasn't a fat guy. I've always been a tall, skinny guy that had to drink like 3 protein shakes a day.
Oh my God.
See, that sounds awesome. Sounds like my kind of guy.
Yeah.
So that's what I was going to say.
That's where I want to be at.
Big stacks of pancakes,
Yeah.
like a rock, and like,
Yeah, you have to put the calories in, right? If you're gonna gain mass, you got to really put the calories in, and they got to be smart calories. You can't be chicken wings and crap, beer.
I know that one all too well.
I drank a lot of protein shakes, and there for a while I got into juicing. I mean, I tried everything new that came around from health stuff, different vitamins. Something came out and said it'd make me stronger. I tried it. You couldn't do steroids. I mean, steroids ended in the National Football League in 1987. In 1988, they started random testing everybody on a regular basis. I'd get tested 8 times a year out of 16 weeks. 8 weeks I'd get tested just out of, pull my name out of a hat. Yeah. So, I wasn't ever for that anyway. It wasn't something I did in college, so it really wasn't. But there were a lot of guys who couldn't really compete the way they were competing prior to 87. It was tough for them.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Oh, no, you go ahead. You gotta know.
No, I was kind of curious, though, because you said a lot of the guys prior to 87 were doing really, really well. And then afterwards, when they started doing the random drug testing, it, performance dropped. So I guess kind of my question would be, do you think it might be necessary for certain people to take, testosterone or performance enhancements because of, you know, whether it's their age or their natural production drops or what have it.
Yeah, I can't condone one way or the other for any one person and what they feel they need to do or want to do to enhance either their athletic ability or their strength. You know, at my age, my testosterone level now has probably shrunk by about 40%. And I know several guys at my age that are getting medical treatment for it. You know, they get testosterone shots or pills or cream or whatever. Yes. And they all swear by it. The guys that are doing, I personally haven't done that, but I'm not opposed to it. You know, if I start to feel like I'm good in that direction, that might help me in some way to create longevity in my life and make my life better. I'm absolutely for it.
All right.
That's amazing. Yeah. Thank you so much, Jeff.
You're welcome.
Where can our audience find you? I know I found you on Facebook, but I didn't know if you were on Instagram or Twitter or any of those places.
Yeah, no, I've got those accounts, but you know, I have a Facebook account. You know, I'm in real estate, so
yes.
You know, I help people to buy and sell real estate. So I work for Berkshire Hathaway right now, and people can find me there. But online, on social media, it'd be Facebook.
And that's in Connecticut, guys. So if you're looking for a house, you can reach out to this fine gentleman here, and you'll be surprised at who you're going to get. Just ask him.
I work with. It's not just Connecticut. I work with customers all over the country.
Oh, that's amazing. I didn't know that. Okay. Mm-hmm. See, when I think of like real estate, I'm thinking like local in the state. I didn't know that. So do you have to have I know this is, we're cutting it, but do you have to have a license in other states to be able to sell, or is that?
Yeah. So you have to be a licensed real estate agent for the state that you sell in. And like with Connecticut, there's 7, I believe, reciprocal states like New York, New Jersey, North Carolina, Florida. I can't remember all of them offhand, but you know, for a fee, you can get those licenses as well. But you know, with it, we also have a lot of opportunity with, you know, with the real estate brokerage firms that are out there that have national, you know, offices all over the country. So we work hand in hand with other offices. If I've got a client in Arizona and I'm not in Arizona, then I will find a good real estate rep through my network. Awesome. And set them up with them that way. And that way they can still deal with me and they can deal with that agent for the house or the property.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I'm so glad that you explained it to me because I didn't know how that worked, but yep. Awesome. So glad to have you on the show. And I really appreciate taking the time. We would love to have you on again and have an update. What's going on? If you're always welcome on the show. If you ever need anything from us, you certainly can ask. We are always the helpful bunch over here. So anything we can do, we can help out. But thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, guys.
You have a good rest of the weekend.
Good night.
Thanks, Jeff.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. We got our second guest. We got Big Sexy.
Uh-oh.
We got Big Sexy coming on.
It's Sunbird coming on right now. Yeah.
I know. That's okay. Sean McCorkle. I am so sorry about that. I had to say that because I've always wanted to say I got Big Sexy.
What?
I don't know how you got that nickname, but
that's a legit. I thought that was. I thought you were.
I looked it up and I was like, oh, okay, the ladies will like this one.
Yeah, a ring announcer actually gave me that name because back when I was in shape, all the girls were saying how sexy I was. And at the time, I was going by the tanned Adonis to make people mad. And no one knew what an Adonis was because everybody has a real low IQ, I guess, in the fight world. So I had to switch to Big Sexy to really make them mad. And then I met Kevin Nash, the original Big Sexy from the WWE days. And that was a little awkward because he goes, that's trademarked, right? And I was like, I don't know.
Oh, shit.
I just stole it. I did want to say, man, I was fascinated to listen to Jeff talk.
Yeah.
He looks just like my college basketball coach, sounds just like him. It is so identical. It was crazy. And it made me hate his guts, like while he was talking. Because I hated my college basketball coach. Like I almost beat him up one practice. Like I hated his guts. And
Oh my gosh.
he sucks. He was a real a-hole. But yeah, it was crazy. And then Jeff and I are, man, it's weird because we're both 6'7". We're both over 300 pounds. And I think we're opposite in every other way because I think steroids are awesome. I think if he thinks guys aren't taking steroids in the NFL, he's out of his mind. Everybody I know in the NFL takes steroids. By the way, when I say they're awesome, I mean what they do to you is awesome. I don't suggest anyone take them, but
Yes.
yeah, I've been on testosterone since I was 26 years old because my body stopped producing it naturally, and it is a wonderful thing. It's wouldn't say it saved my life, but it made it much better.
Well, we're learning about that. Sean, we're learning about Destin. Actually, he's 24 and has issues with testosterone himself. And I'm not putting your business out there, Destin, but we did get on this topic, but it's an important topic to talk about because that can affect, especially when it's really low.
Yep.
It's very detrimental to a man.
Right. People don't understand because I was taking testosterone and people are like, aren't you afraid of what taking testosterone will do to you long term? And I said, the doctors I talked to said it's more dangerous long term to have low testosterone.
Yes.
For everything else. But it's, I mean, obviously you can, after you do it for a while, you learn to, split the shots up so you don't have peaks and valleys, because if you only do one shot a week, it tallies trails off after 4 or 5 days. You feel terrible. Then you give yourself a shot. 48 hours later, you feel like you're 13 years old again. Like there's different ways to do it, but it's that and human growth hormone. It has a bad name. HGH I took HGH the entire time I was in the UFC. Sorry guys, but I did. So did everyone else I know in the UFC. It is a wonderful thing.
I appreciate your transparency. I love it. Thank you.
I don't care. I mean, it's not cheating if everybody's doing it. That's what and everybody in the UFC except maybe Roy Nelson and a couple of guys were taking steroids the whole time. We didn't even lie about it to each other. You weren't trying to hide it. But I mean, when I say steroids, I mean that guys had testosterone exemptions. I was taking HGH. A lot of guys were taking EPO. That always scared me to death because one of the side effects is possible sudden death. So I didn't know.
What is this?
What's EPO?
EPO is basically it's what Lance Armstrong, the biggest thing he got caught taking it, thickens your blood and makes you carry a bunch of red blood cells so you get oxygen to your muscles. And they call it liquid cardio is what most people call it. But I had several fighters. I won't say I trained with them, but I did. But guys I trained with, I would be like, I don't understand why I outlast you in the gym so easily cardio wise. And then when we go in fights, you can go all day and I get tired in 2 minutes. Like can't figure it out. And they're all like, oh, you're taking liquid cardio, right? And I was like, no, I never heard of it. And then they told me what it was. And then I looked it up and I was like, I'm not willing to risk dying to have better cardio, but it literally will double to triple your cardio over a 3-day span. So you take it, I guess, like a week. You take it a week out. And
it's what they used to accuse George of doing. What they accused George St. Pierre doing, all towards the end of his career. George was on EPO. That's why he
was able to continue.
I'm sure
he out cardioed everybody. It's one of the things I thought was funny about that era. I actually as crazy it was everyone talks as much crap as they want to on that era, but everyone loves the fights from that era. You can't hate it. If you're it's the same thing when we talk about baseball. Everyone loves the steroid era. Why? Because the balls were flying out of the stadium at a crazy rate. Yes. Same thing was going on in MMA. Guys were jacked up. They had amazing cardio. They look how freaking Overeem looked.
Yeah.
Prime example.
Yes.
Prime example.
Yes. I wonder. Yeah.
The first time Overeem passed a steroid test in the UFC, I made a joke on Ariel Helwani's show, and I said he needs to give up fighting and go to the Tour de France because he's obviously one of the best in the world at cycling because he was obviously off cycle on his steroids, and but yeah, I mean nobody even pretended like he didn't take steroids. The biggest thing people don't understand on a lot of that stuff, it's recovery more than anything, more than strength, more than anything, and you got guys like Lesnar who. Brock Lesnar has enough money, and he's been doing it so long, he just injects insulin straight into himself, which insulin's one of the most powerful performance enhancers you can take as long as you don't mind dying early, But, I mean, there's guys, when I was fighting Mariusz Pudzianowski, he's the world's strongest man 6 years in a row, I was joking around in interviews saying it was going to come down to are his steroids better than mine? And I knew he had better ones, but they didn't like that. They didn't like Nazi jokes either in Germany or in Poland. It was weird. I was making jokes and nobody liked it.
Well, I mean,
Sean, you're awesome.
Sorry.
We're talking left. We're talking all these guys. I
told
got to
me
ask
that
you.
Wait, Steve, I got to tell him this. Steve told me that you and I would be perfect because we are
Okay.
both patriots and we both have like a common belief. In fact, I lost my Instagram because I was speaking too much truth and I was being a bad girl.
That's
So
the number one way to get rid of it. I'm
Yeah.
not on. I can't be on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or anything right now because
stop.
I tell the truth and they suspend me, and then I go ahead and email them and tell them not only am I not apologizing, I'm reposting it the minute I'm unblocked, and I do. Like I repost it and then they block me again right away. So it's they're not going to tell me what I told the UFC the same thing. I got cut from the UFC basically because Joe Silva, who was matchmaker for the UFC, probably third most powerful guy in the company, hit me with a text one day after my second fight. He was like, "Sean, I need you to do me a favor." It's Joe Silva. I said, "Anything you want, Joe," because I was trying to stay in the UFC. That's like being in the NFL. You don't want to go to a Canadian Football League.
Yeah.
And so I was like, "Anything you want." He said, "Can you stop saying racist stuff on Twitter?" And I was like, "What is he even talking about?" I was like, "What?" I was like, so I look on my Twitter, and at the time I was like dating a Native American girl, and I told her, she said she was on her college rowing team, a text message. And I said, "I bet you can canoe like an SOB, or whatever." I said it back to her and she thought it was hilarious. And so I posted that on Twitter and they got upset. I said, no, I know this person. I'm not just making, I'm not making fun of her. I know her.
Yeah, it's called a joke.
So then they got mad. I got my release letter like a week later because I put on Facebook, I said, "There's two things in the world I hate: racism and interracial dating," which is also a great joke if you think about it, because how can I hate racism if I hate interracial dating, right? It's supposed to be funny and not meant to hurt, just to make people laugh. And I got a letter shortly thereafter said I was relieved of my contract. So I was like, that's okay. You're not going to tell me what I can say on my social media to my friends. So
Well, since you're bringing that up, what do you think about the current events going on with Diego Sanchez?
All I heard, and I haven't seen, I've kind of not been on my phone the last couple of days because I'm banned. But
from everything, Steve.
Yeah, all I heard is he was left at an airport. I don't know the full story. If you could,
I saw that. That was horrible.
Yeah, that's all I know is he said he got left at an airport. That's all I knew.
That's horrible.
Was that it? Was that the story?
Oh, I mean, go watch the video that got posted. There's this whole.
Oh, he was pissed. Was it his coach or was
it was his coach? And it was their. I guess they must have been in a like a production meeting or something, because you had the Megan O'Leary was there, Paul Felder was there, Stephen Bonner's recording the whole thing. It was a really awkward, weird situation, honestly.
Man, I'll tell you, I love Dana White for several reasons. I know a lot of people hate him. He's always been awesome to me in every way. Like, when Bubba McDaniel, I don't even know if you guys know who that is, but he was.
I know exactly who he is.
Yeah, his son got murdered 2 or 3 years ago by his now wife's boyfriend. At the time they were split up or divorced or whatever, or I don't know. But his little 2-year-old boy got murdered, and Bubba wasn't in a position where he could even give him a funeral. He couldn't. He was still trying to fight. And I hit Dana up, and I don't hit him up very often because I don't like to be the guy asking people for stuff. So I made a GoFundMe page for him. I said, "Dana, I know people ask you for stuff all the time. Please," I wouldn't ask if it was for me, And I said, Bubba McDaniel, who was on The Ultimate Fighter, so I didn't even know if Dana would remember him. I said, "I don't know if you remember Bubba McDaniel, but he was on the Ultimate Fighter." Said his son was just murdered a few days ago. He's suffocated by some guy. Could you post this GoFundMe on your Instagram or Twitter? It would mean a lot to me. And Dana calls me. It doesn't text me, calls me and says, "How much is the GoFundMe?" And I said, we're trying to raise $25,000. He said, "I'll just send you a check." He said, "Who do you want it made out to and where?" And I was like, no, don't send it to me. I was like, I don't want, I don't want any part of that sent to them. And I said, "You don't have to do that. I promise I didn't ask for that. That's not why I contacted." He goes, "No, it's fine." I think he sent him $30,000 sent to Bubba and them, and posted the GoFundMe also. So Bubba was actually able, not only his, it's a morbid thing, but if you look at Bubba's son's gravestone, is an amazing thing. It has the UFC logo on it, and it's like a beautiful, like he did it, to kind of, show the appreciation, but it's the most beautiful headstone. It's terrible. Bubba's one of my best friends, man. That guy's they arrested him finally and charged him.
Yes, I saw that. I saw that.
Yeah, I remember when that happened. Like, I don't think Rachael was on with me on my podcast at the time, but I remember when that was going on. We were, we had him on. We had conversation with him, kind of after the fact. But yeah, Bubba's, and that's one of the things that people tend to forget about Dana. Like we all know the brashness, and sometimes he goes overboard with some of his reactions. But like I was sitting there saying to Jeff, what he's done for not just the fighters, but MMA, the UFC brand, etc. You have to take your hat off to him. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No, and people always blame him for low fighter pay, but Dana, I mean,
He can't fix everything, can he?
Well, I've seen Dana give a $10,000 tip to a waitress before, at a casino. So
wow.
he's
I want to
but
be
that-
that
but-
waitress.
But if you now if you remember, Sean, that's the premise they use. Like, oh, you could do
Steve,
that, but you can't take care of your fighters. Like, he's done everything he can over the years. People, like, as many as I get over about the whole sponsor thing, the uniform thing, we also forget Dennis Holman's fault.
Right.
This is all
Yeah,
Dennis Holman's
that
fault.
didn't help. Well, also too, you got to. I mean, Lorenzo Fertitta's always really nice to me too, but he's the one at the time making the decisions on what guys get paid, not Dana. No matter what anybody says. And now the new people at WME, they're making. I mean, Dana got into it with him because they told him they were gonna like make his office smaller in where they were building the new offices. Like, we don't need an office that big. And Dana's like, if I'm coming to work for you, I'm gonna have the office I want, or whatever. Like, you're not gonna tell me I have to, because I mean, they're cutting corners anywhere they can. So really,
wow.
I mean, I believe if Dana had his choice, like he doesn't, once you're that rich, I mean, some people really care about money, but he's not the kind of guy that, I mean, he's got enough. And like I said, a guy that's that greedy wouldn't be passing out, $30,000 to someone,
Yes.
who he doesn't barely know just because their kid is, died. So I think it's more the people that are above Dana that with the money costs. And really, a fighter shouldn't complain. As long as you got people willing to fight for free, as long as it's on TV, you're not going to get anywhere. You got to have, they got to unionize or do something. Too many people just want to be in the UFC. And I turned the UFC down 3 times in the same night when they called me the contract offer. I said, I'm not fighting for $3,000. You guys are crazy,
Yeah.
So
Especially, we talked about that, Steve, how we didn't want, my biggest passion as Rachael Blades was fighters' rights and making sure that you guys were taken care of. Like, Steve knows my passion about that. And that's how I got involved. In the first place, I wasn't expecting, but there needed to be a lot of changes. And, especially in your local areas, there's definitely needed some changes. But we were just talking about, like, the poll question, fighters should get retirement benefits after so many years in the game. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would agree. I also think contracts should be guaranteed, because in the UFC, it's a no-win situation, because in the UFC, you have to be exciting, but you also have to win.
Yes.
Or you get cut either way, if you're boring or if you lose. And they'll tell you, hey, if you take a fight on short notice, hey, we'll remember this when it comes to renegotiate your contract. And then you lose a fight on short notice and they cut you. It's like the company as a whole, especially when I was there, they expect mafia-like loyalty. I mean, to the end. You better give your kidney up if I need it. But, hey, a deal's a deal. It reminds me of family members I've been in business with before, where when they need something, we're family. When I need something, business is business. You can't let family come in between it. It's like one of them deals where they're like, well, sorry. And it's look at what they did to Tom Lawler. He tested positive for Osterine, which is not anything anyone would take to enhance their performance. They make him sit for 2 years and then cut him the day he comes off suspension. So he could have fought for those 2 years for anywhere else. They had no plans of keeping him. They just wanted to keep him out of action for 2 years on something he didn't even mean to take. So it's just like, it's dirty in a lot of ways.
He was just fighting for PFL, what was it, 2 nights ago, I think it was?
Yeah. So
that's now the other thing I got to ask you. A lot of things changed since you kind of been in the UFC. Like, I think a lot of the landscape has changed. Obviously, everyone's been through TV partners and everything like that, but I don't think that the UFC is the only destination anymore. I think there are guys that understand that they can become one of the best fighters in the world and still get paid what they're worth. You see guys like Corey Anderson. He kind of explained, like, his last 2 fights for Bellator, it equals like his first 2-3 years in the UFC. That's insanity.
I know Matt Mitrione, his first fight in Bellator, he made more than all 14 fights of his UFC fights combined, and what he made in the NFL. He said for the 2 years that he actually got paid decent there. Or no, it was his first 2 fights. I'm sorry, his first 2 fights in Bellator, he got more money than he did all of his UFC fights combined and his NFL career combined.
I heard that from a lot of fighters.
Yeah, and it's a lot of it's tied to ratings, to TV ratings. So if the ratings reaches a certain number, you get this much money, and whether or not you're the reason it, it's just all tied. But Bellator's, I think, a couple things. One, I've always heard the PFL is owned by the UFC. I don't know if that's true or not, but on the inside, that's what everybody says, that the PFL had the UFC kind of has a private ownership in the PFL and that keeps guys from going to Bellator.
Well, now, here's the thing I got to ask you. Like, we've always hear this thing, like, about that. Like, obviously, there was obviously a relationship between Dana and Ray in upper management for a while, and then you've also the other line of that is the Ali effect.
Yeah, I mean, just like PFL.
Now,
guys
is it more the Ali relationship, or the fact that they actually have a hand in there? Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, I'd always heard that basically, I mean, you never know really what's true, but I heard that the UFC basically got whoever, because Ray Sefo was just the president, he didn't actually own it, that they got the owner to do it. He was a casino owner, I think, and basically they were funding him under the table to keep guys from going for Bellator, like give another option to guys. But I told, we did a podcast the other day with Adam Hunter, and I said, how amazing is it that guys that are UFC fighters have to go to PFL to try to make $1 million, or go fight Jake Paul, or go anywhere but the UFC to try to make $1 million. It's like, it's crazy to me. But like I said, it's the fighter's fault. If they would unionize the way the NBA, the NFL does, they would have no choice. They would have to work with them. But I think the UFC has let a lot of guys go because they have that huge class action suit. I don't know if you guys know about that, but there's a huge class action suit for former fighters.
Are you talking about
I
the
heard
one the
about
Corey's
that.
behind? The one the Corey's behind, right?
Yeah, that's the one that he started with him. I don't know if he's still one of the prisoners.
I mean, he doesn't. He's the one that started, regardless if he's still the figurehead behind it or not.
Yeah, him.
I heard about that.
Guys. So,
but yeah, I hear you. Like, you need a fighters union. Like it's just, you can't just have the top 2% and then everyone else.
No,
But that's what Jeff said. Jeff said that he feels that MMA should have a union.
Well, I mean. Here's the crazy part. Like the freaking, bare knuckle boxing's barely been around for 2 years, and he's already opening up a pension plan for whatever his athletes have, and he's going to be wound up paying for the cost of damage that athletes got in other sports.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And I'll tell you what else sucks. I don't mean to trash the UFC, but the license.
It's not. It's basically, we're basically explaining where we still have to go for as we're talking about as the sport as a whole. If you really think about it, like I was saying, I love Dana. He can't fix everything one night. He got thrown a sport that he had to build from scratch and basically fix everything all along the way while in the public eye.
Yeah. Well, and now's the time. I mean, they're making hundreds of millions of dollars now. So I understand at the beginning, you got to get your money back and all that. But I mean, I know my licensing deal, I got a total of $7.67 for my Topps trading cards, and I had to sign 500 of them. I know that when I got to the UFC, they make you sign 250 posters or 200 posters.
Yes, I saw that.
They give you one. And then I asked them, mine got torn. I said, can I have another one? They said, oh no, we give those to sponsors. And I said, well, am I getting paid for this? And they laughed that I would even suggest it. And I said, I'm not getting paid for this. No, we just give them sponsors. And I saw the same poster I signed for sale on UFC.com for $650, or whatever.
Shitty. That is so shitty.
Yeah, and a bunch of them. So, I mean, I had that. And then I got on the UFC video game, and everybody's like, aren't you happy to be on the video game? I was like, not when I got my check for $2,000. Like, I thought I was getting
that to Shoney Carter. They did that to Shoney Carter.
Yeah, $2,000. And I felt bad until I found out Miguel Torres only got $1,500. When he was on it, but Chris Lytle got $3,000, but I have friends in WWE, they get $100,000, $150,000 when they're on a video game, or whatever. Yeah. When I got checked for $2,000, I literally was going to write F you on it and mail it back to him. That's how I felt about it. I was so upset, and everybody was like, "Well, nobody's buying the game for you." I was like, "Then don't put me on it,"
Yeah, exactly.
Just put Anderson Silva in the top at that time, 3 or 4 guys, and see if anybody buys the games. If it only has 4 or 5 popular fighters. No one's going to buy it, just like they're not buying Madden if it only has the quarterback from every team, Like they're not doing that. So it's like I am part of the game, but like I was playing see either way. But I mean, they sold over, I heard 1 million copies of that game. I know they don't get to keep all of it, but 1 million times $50 a copy, I think you can get me more than $2,000, or I'd rather not be on it, So
$10,000 would be good.
You would think that's what the lowest guy in the NFL gets
something.
$12,000 for Madden. The worst third string. I don't know how their thing's tiered, but I know I've talked to several NFL guys who said they got between 12 and 25,000 for Madden. So, and those are guys that aren't even famous, just on the team. So,
you know what? I just got. I want to bring up the fact that you're a patriot and you're very well aware of what's going on in the world right now. I'm pretty sure you know.
Yeah.
I lost my big Instagram account because I was speaking too much truth. I tried to get it back, and they're like, I didn't even get a response. I messaged them every single day since October, and not one message back, and I still don't have my account. So I'm like, whatever. I just used my old one. But I just got a call from someone that I just recently had on the show, Shannon Rich. He just told me that his fight got pushed back to August, and now because he's flying overseas, he now has to get the shot.
Yeah.
And so he's a patriot too, and he's like, hey, if I want to do this fight, I got to do it. And I'm like, I don't know. How do you feel about that? I mean, I'm sure this is going to happen and come up with more and more fighters.
I haven't worn a mask since the whole thing started. I refuse. I actually, if they try
That's
to make me
my
wear,
son.
like, a guy at Home Depot the other day told me I had to wear a mask. I said, no, I'm protesting. And he's like, what do you mean? I said, I don't wear a mask. I support Black Lives Matter. And until black people are treated equally, I'm not wearing a mask. I said, so if you want me to wear one, you're racist. And he was like, oh, no, it's okay. Which I just made that up just because, just so he would back off, So, but I'm not protesting. I'm just not wearing a mask. They're not telling me what to do. I will die before I take the shot. Strictly because I have to take a vaccination. They haven't been tested.
Nope.
It's not, it's not nearly enough. And it's, what happened to my body, my choice,
Yeah, exactly.
This shit with the mask is ridiculous. Like, okay, so people are saying, oh, you're wearing it for other people. I'm like, your mask doesn't work. No, it blocks only one way. Well, flip yours inside out then, and everybody's protected.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or whatever. It's just, it's so ridiculous. It's all about control. It's all about people there. And I'm not some super crazy. Maybe I'm crazy, but some guy.
No, you're not, because I'm on the same page with you, Sean.
But there is the people that run the world are not who you see on TV. They're all puppets.
No.
I don't know who the people are. I don't know who it actually is. But I know that what we are seeing and told, I didn't even like Trump at first. Like back in the day, I thought Trump would get in there and just set himself up to be even richer when he got out of office, But when I saw who lined up against him and attacked him, like the people who are attacking him, I was like, this is like the most evil people in the world all banded against him. So I'm kind of like the enemy of my enemy is my friend. It's kind of the way I looked at it. And like him or not like him, he did what he said he was going to do. So that's the first politician I've ever seen do that, like whether it was, popular or not. But he, I'm surprised they didn't kill him. I was sure they were going to try to kill him. Maybe they tried.
I think it was like 23 times they tried to.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Nobody knows that, but if you do a little research, you can find it.
Yeah, he's slick. I'm sure he had his own security.
Speaking of what happened to Shannon, did you see what happened to Erin Tuffill? She got thrown off a Delta flight because her mask wasn't all the way up to the bridge of her nose. Meanwhile, the flight attendant kicking her off mask wasn't to the bridge of her nose.
What the fuck?
It's about the attitude. It's not about the mask. It's not. They want complete control of your life.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And
if you don't do what they say, you will be sorry. That's what people are like. Why should I have to be afraid because you won't wear a mask? I was like, you don't stay home. If you're afraid, you stay home.
Exactly.
Living my life, and I am willing to get COVID. And if I get it, if I die, I would rather die not wearing a mask and not having the shot than vice versa. Like that's the
exactly. Exactly. Stop trying to decide what's best for me.
I think everybody at this period of time has had COVID or this extenuating flu virus. I'm sorry, that's how I feel as it is because the numbers reflect a flu season. I'm not saying something bad out there doesn't exist, but what I am saying is do your research because I mean,
COVID's very dangerous. I mean, extremely dangerous. If you're 75 or older with diabetes and heart disease, and you also get hit by a car and shot at the same time, you're probably going to die.
Yes.
Whatever. But this stuff, my girlfriend.
That's the main reason. Like, I'm careful, like around my mom, because like I work in like UPS and warehouse. So like my mom's old and she has COPD and all these. So I'm more careful along that. But I'll wear the mask where I have to go, like to go to Wawa or X place where I have to go. But like, it's one of these things. Like as soon as I'm at where I have to go, that thing's back around my neck or off my face or whatever I have to do.
My girlfriend is a epidemiologist. She has her master's in infectious disease epidemiology.
Awesome.
And she said from the beginning, masks are worthless. Don't believe what they tell you. You can't. It doesn't help anything. It's not going to stop a virus like that or whatever. Nope. And it's all just. I mean, people are more likely to get it touching their eyes and, putting their hands up by their face all the time. Because, but she refused to wear a mask. She actually has a job with Deloitte, which is a huge defense contractor. And she's already told them, if you're going to make me get the vaccination, I'm going to find other work, whatever. She said, you're not.
Yeah.
And we feel the same way. And that's someone who has a master's in epidemiology, infectious disease, who's worked for the CDC. But everybody, when they came out with the real report, if you actually know how to read those reports, 6,000 total deaths of the 400,000 were with no underlying causes. You know what I mean? Like it was like, that's really all that died, which is nowhere. This is how I look at it. And I know I'm talking too much, but I'm hyper.
No, I love it. Keep talking because this is my topic.
I tell people all the time, if we can just save one life, every speed limit in the United States needs to be 5 miles an hour. Because 80,000 people a year die by car wrecks and accidents on the highway. If we put it at 5, no one will die on the interstate. So we can save those 80,000 lives. And it doesn't matter if your business can operate like that. It doesn't matter if you can't go on vacation. Nothing matters. All we have to do is save those. It's amazing. We got to save all those lives, but we can abort 50 million babies. That's fine. Their lives don't matter. But someone who's 85 with heart disease and almost dying anyway, their life matters enough that we all have to be inconvenienced. And it's not.
It's funny because I like to look at it as in terms of like food allergies. I'm definitely allergic to like peanuts and shellfish and all that stuff. And you don't see me preaching and telling people, no, you can't have shellfish or you can't eat your peanuts and you can't. I don't give a fuck.
Right.
Fucking eat it. You can eat it right next to me. I'm gonna be a little bit leery about it, but
you go in anaphylactic shock.
Yeah. So, but it's your own body. It's your own choice. It's not going to hurt you. Why should I, enforce my will over you based on my own?
That would be almost as ridiculous as making people have a third bathroom for people who are confused about their sexuality. You know what I mean?
God.
It's just, it doesn't make sense. Like we're in this weird age of just stupidity. Everybody needs a safety blanket.
It is.
I don't understand it.
Life is hard. The bottom line is life is hard. No one is. I'm 6'7". I don't see anybody in any way accommodate me on an airplane. You know what I mean? Like they're not letting me sit in first class because I'm tall. Like they don't do that.
No.
If I ask for the exit row, you can pay for it. I'm like, but I'm 6'7", tough. Well, if I identify as somebody 7,
that's like one of the things like you remember about like the big wrestlers from back in the day. Remember, like you imagine how rough it was for guys like Andre the Giant and stuff like that. Like before, like the WWE blew up like to where it is now, where like they had to buy like whole rows and like it. Just there's no way you can they make it like he's saying they make accommodations for everyone.
Right.
They make accommodations for big people. They make.
Oh my God! I'm about ready to get off this roller coaster. I can't stand going to the store with all these masked people. I feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone. I've had like anxiety for some reason when I go into the store.
How are we not in the Twilight Zone? Lamar Odom and Aaron Carter are about to headline a celebrity boxing event.
I know. I saw that.
Well, are we going to see celebrity boxing? I mean, we're seeing all these stupid people coming up and being able to fight millions of dollars. Has anyone offered you some crazy money for some
they called me about they want to see if I want to do bare knuckle, and they offered me $10,000, and I started laughing. I was like, I wouldn't fly there for $10,000. Like I was very fortunate that I was retired at 28 years old. Like I sold my business, had enough money, I never had to work again. That's why people are like, oh, you're so dumb, you fought for a living. I was like, no, I was a millionaire when I started fighting. Like that was just, I started taking jiu-jitsu class and found out I was really good at, kind of like Happy Gilmore finding out he could drive the ball 500 yards. Really good at fighting.
Like you didn't need it. You just, you did it for shits and giggles.
Right,
my goal was I wanted to fight one MMA fight, and then I went out and punched the guy in the face and he fell down. I was like, it can't be this easy. So I run through a bunch of guys, and then I get a chance to UFC. I beat Mark Hunt in minute 3, and I was like, I cannot believe it's this easy. And then I fought Stephen Struve and almost submitted him in a minute. And right as I left the stage, I thought, dude, I can't believe these people are this easy. And then he kicked my ass. So he didn't tap it. He got out of it. And then I found out they really are that tough. Like it was, they used to always ask me, like, who's next for you? I'd be like, gosh, I sure hope not Cain Velasquez, because not only is he going to beat me up, he's not going to get tired at any point. He's just going to keep punching me in my face. So, I was never delusional like people like Brendan Schaub, or I really don't like Brendan Schaub, so I give him a hard time. That's what my screen name is. Brendan Schaub sucks. I lost a bet somebody bet me that I wouldn't attempt suicide after I watched Brendan Schaub's comedy special. After I watched it, I found myself on Amazon shopping for nooses and rickety stools. So I had to.
We got to get close up, but it's hold on. We got to get close.
Yeah.
I know. Look at it.
Yeah,
Is that
so
why
I
you
had,
have the lights off?
Right?
do I have? No, I was actually sitting here because my light is out in my bedroom.
Oh,
Like an
okay.
idiot. But I moved my son's bedroom, then I opened up the windows, but the sun's going down now, so it's making me look just darker and darker and redder.
Oh.
Yeah, you actually, if you look, you just kind of
Slowly
blend in with the
fading away.
background. It's all black and red.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a music video or something like.
Right?
Slowly getting darker, like my sense of humor. But
That's awesome. Hey, but you know what? I am so wanting to talk Patriot stuff, and I know we're very limited here, but I have another show I'm going to be doing. I'm definitely going to have you on if you're okay with that, because
Yeah.
I would like to talk about what's going on. I know Pat Miletich is also a Patriot. We talk back and forth, and he's been on the show a couple of times, and everybody is frustrated with all of this. It's like now I'm very worried about the athletes that have to travel out of the country, and now they're going to be required to take an.
Now you heard. Now she just told you what happened to Shannon Rush. Now I just had Jake Peacock on. He just won the title for Lion Fight. When he went back to Canada, he was like, they were like, well, you have to quarantine here in this hotel for 14 days. You have to pay for the hotel. You're not being put out. You have to pay for all your expenses. He's like, no, I know my rights. I'm going to quarantine in my house. I will be there for 14 days. You can come and check on me, do whatever you want. And they're like, okay, well, we're sending you a fine in the mail.
I'll tell you what, I'm probably going to Colombia in the next month or so to do stem cells, because I have the most horrible back problem. I've been to Germany that's where I was making the Nazi jokes I didn't like. But I went to
I'm Jewish. Go ahead, brother. I love it.
I went to Kobe Bryant's doctor in Germany. I've tried everything. I'm out of ideas. Everybody thinks you're a drug addict here. If you say your back hurts and you go to a doctor, I'm not giving you pills.
Yeah.
But my plan is I'm serious. I'm going to go to Colombia, and on my way back, I'm just going to fly into Juarez. I used to have a business in El Paso. I'm going to fly into Juarez, and I'm going to cross the border illegally and just turn myself in. And then I don't have to quarantine. I don't have to do anything. I'll walk right into El Paso and get a flight back out, because apparently if you just cross our border illegally, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to quarantine. You don't have to be tested. You don't have to even just walk right across. And that really is my plan. I've got friends in Juarez. I plan on flying in and just walking right across the border. So
Excellent. I'm having a show for Father's Day, and we're going to talk. It's an alpha male show. We want to talk about how do we bring our men back, because I feel like we're in a world where our men are in trouble. I'm saying like the alpha male is becoming very small, whereas all these other, I don't even know what to say. It seems like this is growing this way, and our alpha males are going smaller, and we need to figure out how to fix that.
I'll tell you who'd be perfect for you is Don Fry. I don't know if you guys know him, but he is the most fun man I've ever known. And I talked to him. He's on our podcast. I do one with Adam Hunter, that MMA Roasted. I do it every weekend.
I love MMA Roasted.
Don's a great guy, and he has a podcast he's doing with Dan Severn called Toxic Masculinity, where that's kind of
Dan. I've been trying to get him on.
Yeah, he's hard to get a hold of, but he is he's an awesome guy, and you never have to wonder what he's thinking, because he'll tell you. He doesn't care about political correctness. First time I ever met Don, he goes, "Yeah, Russians are the only real men left." He was telling me that, and first thing I said to him was like, "Don, your mustache is the most awesome thing I've ever seen in my life." He goes, "What, is it back?" And I was like, "Is it back? What do you mean?" He goes, "I just shaved it 2 hours ago. Did it come back?" I was like, that dude's too cool to believe."
He really is.
Yeah.
Steve, we've had him on our show.
We've had both of them on Case Missions in the past when they were doing the Legends tour with Brian Moore.
It's just trying to. I've spoken to Dan on the phone. It's just a matter of locking in a date for him. It's so complicated.
I think it's actually really cool, like that. Where what Sean's talking about Adam's show, where Adam's gone over the last 5 years, is really amazing. It's really awesome to see his comedy career taking off as well.
Yeah.
And Sean's always on the roast, Chad. It's freaking them guys freaking crack me up, man.
They used to have me on. Ariel used to have me on. Actually, it was the Mitrione Minute where he used to roast fighters, but I wrote all the jokes. The funny ones anyway. And then I guest hosted for Matt one time, or guest did the roast. And then I don't know. Arrow quit having me on because one time, like, Brett Rogers had been arrested for domestic abuse of his wife and kids. And I was saying that when I watched Uriah Faber and Dominic Cruz fight, I felt bad because I don't like seeing two little kids get beat up, And I was like, if I did, I'd just go to Brett Rogers' house. Like, would make jokes like that. And Ariel always thought it was overboard. So, but the McCorkle Arbitrary Minute was classic back in the day. We used to just roast people. And I used to have people get so mad at me, but it was just jokes. Like, I wasn't trying to hurt anybody's feelings. It was all.
Wait, they were getting offended back then too?
Yeah, I mean, that's 2010.
Jesus, can we joke, please?
No.
That's kind of the beginning of the end back then. You know what I mean?
God, it sucks. Everybody's offended.
What are your thoughts on
Drink
Frank's
drink or
return to
something.
Frank
Calm
Mears'
down.
return to combat sports?
I thought he looked great in the body. I mean, I thought that event was horrendous, but I thought Frank
Was the only shining point of it.
Yeah, especially against a pro boxer. I thought he looked great, and I tried to text him the other day because he went to the stem cell place in Columbia that I plan on going to, and I talked to a guy for 5 minutes, and I finally realized it wasn't Frank Mir. Like I just had his old number, I guess. I asked him how he's doing. We're like talking this and that, and I was like, "Hey, I saw your thing about going to stem cells." The guy's like, "What the hell are you talking about?" And I was like, "Who is this?" And I don't even remember the name, but I was like, "But I said this to Sean McCorkle when I first texted him." The guy was like, "Okay, cool," and just talking to me. And then didn't tell me he wasn't Frank Mir. Like, I didn't say is he Frank Mir. I just assumed. So he thought I was just some guy calling him and been like, "Hey man, what's going?" Or texting him like, "What's going on?" He just talked to me for like 20 minutes. I don't know.
Oh my gosh, that's so awesome. Is there anybody you didn't like when you were fighting? Is there somebody that you just absolutely hated?
Yeah, I always hated Brendan Schaub. That's a really long story. I didn't like Matt Hughes. I was actually first got a little bit famous in MMA before I was in the UFC because I did a book review or a book report on Matt Hughes' autobiography, and I might have changed some of the stories a little bit. I mean, actually, in the book, I feel bad now because he's been through a lot, but he told stories on himself almost like he was trying to make himself look bad. It was really weird, like a weird book. And I've never read one like it where the guy writing it is trashing himself but thinking he looks cool. But yeah, that was weird. I didn't like Matt Hughes at all. I thought he had a attitude. There's a lot of guys that had like a bad attitude, not to my face, obviously, but the whole thing with Schaub started a long time ago. Like we started Mitch Rion and him were going to fight, so Mitch Rion asked me to write some jokes. So I said he looked like Adam Sandler with Down syndrome, which is a good joke at the time. Sorry. But that was like the first one he used. And then he calls Matt, like, "Why are you getting personal?" Matt's like, "Oh, McCorkle wrote that. I didn't do it." So then Schaub starts trashing me. So then I told Schaub, I'll punch you in your face when I see you, dude. Like, we don't have to fight in a cage. I'll just hit you when I see you. So years later, we're both auditioning for the same show that's going to be on Spike TV. They called me and said, did I want to be on like a Tosh.0 style show that was like a fighter and a comedian? And then I got out there and I was auditioning. He was running his mouth on the side. And so I stopped mid audition and was like, "Do you have something to say?" And then all of a sudden he just keeps looking at his Gucci shoes or whatever, his fancy little boots. And he didn't have anything to say. I said, "Dude, I'll get up and I'll punch you right now. Like, I'm not playing the game, like running your mouth." And he was so bad and I was so good on the audition thing because I wrote my own jokes. I told him I didn't want to do anybody else's jokes. So I wrote my own for the audition. They asked me if I'd write the show for, I think it was, $8,000 an episode. I was like, "Absolutely, I'll write your jokes. I don't have to be on it. I'm cool, So they were going to do that. And then it did a pilot, but it didn't get picked up, I guess. But then he's on, someone texted me one day. He's like, "Hey, did you see Joe Rogan was saying how funny you were on his podcast today?" I said, "Oh, I didn't see it." Because I'm not like friends with Joe, but I know him. And Joe was saying, "Oh, Sean McCorkle's a really funny dude." And Sean's like, "Yeah, I think he died. I heard he died." Like, just always saying stuff. Always got something. He can't, because no one, like, it was like a little kid whose dad was saying someone else was good at something. And Sean's like, "What about me? I'm funny, right, Dad?" Whatever. Like,
Nope.
he couldn't stand it. But so I've been, he acts like he doesn't like see my tweets. I tag him all the time, like on Twitter. And I mean,
before
it's just constant.
Before you were banned, right? Have you gotten banned yet?
Have I what?
From Twitter.
Have you gotten banned from Twitter yet?
Constant. Not completely, but I'm on a 30-day break about every 2 days. So
okay.
like I can't get verified because my tagline says I don't tolerate racism of any kind. Racism is a crime and crime is for minorities, which is a great joke again. But they said I can't be verified with that as a tagline, so I changed it to "I am politically correct at all times" as my tagline. And then they said I was being sarcastic, that they wouldn't verify me for being sarcastic. So I was like, okay. So I switched it back to the other thing, and they're like, "Now you'll never get verified." I'm like, "I don't care. Like, whatever."
I hate the blue check mark. I hate it.
Yeah,
so
the dude, I
stupid.
can't stand the guy that owns Twitter. That dude, he looks like Luke Skywalker.
Oh my God, yes.
But
or how about, what's his name? Oh, Zuckerberg.
Dorsey,
Yeah.
Joe, Zuckerberg. Yeah, I'm not sure
He doesn't
Zuckerberg.
even look like a real person.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think he's part lizard. Like I don't know exactly what's going on there. I guarantee you, he got all the girls in high school and college because that dude is a handsome son of a bitch. But
Oh yeah, with his bowl cut and everything. Ugh.
no, and those are people that run the world. It's crazy. I love how Bill Gates is telling us what we're going to do. Like, didn't you just do computer software? Why are you the boss?
Right.
Yeah.
Why are people listening to him? Why are the sheep lining up? I'm just saying. Why are they listening to him?
He's an expert on nothing but creating monopolies for whatever it is he does. And,
Yes.
computer software. But how, like his vaccination thing, I saw an interview where he openly said he will profit more off vaccinations in the first year that he's made his whole career, like on, software or whatever. And that's really what's about for him is money, because it's
money.
I never understood that. People are like, Bill Gates doesn't need money. And I'm like, you don't understand that mentality. Like, if you ask Bill Gates how much is enough, he would say more. Like, there's never, there's no amount. He could have 100 trillion. There's not enough. It's all about power. Because
since Schaub is your arch nemesis here, what's your favorite Brendan Schaub getting knocked out clip?
Oh my gosh, man! When he got knocked out by what's his name, Ben Rothwell, and he was still like reaching for the stars, like trying to dig an underhook, was awesome. Or even I'll tell you what, when Joe Rogan set him straight and told him he wasn't good at fighting, I laughed so hard I thought I was going to pass out, because he's just sitting there like he's got tears in his eyes, about to cry, and then Joe's like, blah blah blah. And if it were me, I'd be like, how do you know what I should or shouldn't do? Like, I love when Joe talks about back when I was fighting. When were you fighting? You mean Taekwondo tournaments? Like, that's what, like, I mean, I like Joe, but I'm not, like, he never was a fighter. He couldn't fight. People are like, why didn't he fight in the UFC? Because he would get murdered. That's why, or whatever. I don't care how hard he can kick. He would get murdered immediately, but it's I've heard a lot of people say that back when I was fighting, like, it's always the story about they used to fight and it was pit fighting in someone's backyard. Like, was it? Yeah, sure. Or whatever. Everybody's got a story back when they were fighting. But yeah, when Rogan set him straight, and at the time I thought it was kind of a dirty move, but then I realized that was the only way to get Schaub to listen, because I don't dislike Schaub. Actually, he's a piece of shit, but I don't like Schaub for a lot of reasons, but he is delusional. He thinks he's as funny as Richard Pryor, like he really does. He thinks he is one of the
type of guy who laughs at his own jokes.
Yeah. No one's a bigger fan of Schaub than Schaub, But he and the stuff he thinks is funny, like he was addicted for a while to the Asian massage parlors. Like he was like addicted, literally. I know through a mutual friend that he was addicted to them, going to them like every day. And he made a joke one time.
The Sean Watson thing.
Yeah, he made a joke one time. He's like, man, the girl that gave me a massage last night, I'll tell you what, she had to have been at least 16 years old, like laughing, like, that's not funny. Even if that's a joke, that's not funny, man. You know what I mean?
That's not funny, bro. Why is rape funny?
Yeah, that's it. He's just not. He sucks. Like, he sucks as a. He was laughing about a little girl that got her leg snapped. That was on a podcast publicly. A 12-year-old girl. He said, "Yeah, I saw some girl that was a wrestler. She's 12 years old. I guess she was all state. Went to a grappling tournament, got her leg snapped in half." I was like, "That's what you get, bitch." And I was like, "That's what she gets." She's a little kid.
Oh, it's a baby girl.
Freaking my stepdaughter dislocated her elbow in her first time. She didn't tap from it.
Yeah.
Wound up going through the match. Didn't tap, lose the match, but she still did. Like, no one tells somebody, "Oh, good, like later, like I think the last time she competed, she actually like accidentally dislocated this girl's shoulder. She doesn't say good, you didn't tap or anything. Like it's one of these things like because Brendan a competitor is why people think of him this way, because it's like, why, like, better in that aspect to say something stupid like that.
Right. Not only that, but not. Kid, like he sucks. I mean, I could give you 1,000 of them. He's a sociopath. He's a liar. He steals people's jokes. Like, he's anything you can imagine. A bully to people that can be bullied.
And that's funny that Joe's cool with him, considering what made Joe really famous was him destroying Carlos Mencia for stealing jokes.
Right, and he does turn around himself. Yeah.
I love Joe. I love Joe. Are you gonna watch the fights tonight? You gonna watch BKFC?
Who's tonight?
BKFC.
Oh, that's my friend that was fighting. Dylan Kleckler was going to be the main event. And he pulled out. I thought that was tomorrow night. Yeah.
He tore his hamstring or something like that.
Yeah, he's had hamstring problems, I know, for a long time. That's why he quit fighting MMA for a while, because he tore his hamstring. But I'll tell you what, a lot of people don't know, Dylan Kleckler is one of the best looking dudes you'll ever see in your life. But people don't know that. Look on his Facebook page for him when he shaves his beard. He looks like a model. Like, he really does look like I'm the straightest man ever. But that is a good looking dude. You would never know with the beard. Like, you would. He looks like I don't know, like Grizzly Adams with a beard, but like he's like got not good looks. I'm telling you, you'll be shocked. Look at his Facebook page if you can. Him shaved. He like looks like a Guess jeans model or something. I don't know. Like it's crazy.
My gosh.
Like he's got in Florida. You can't. I used to go to Pensacola a lot. You cannot go on a date in Pensacola without a girl saying, "Oh, I used to date Dylan Kleckler." I'm like, dude, holy crap! Every single girl has dated Dylan Kleckler down there. So,
oh my.
So I guess he's the unofficial bachelor of MMA at this point in time, huh?
Yeah, well, I think he's married now, but he was there for a while. Like he's got a little girl. I think a little girl and a little boy. I think, or maybe two little girls. But yeah, it cracked me up because when I saw him first time I met him, he had his beard. Second time, I didn't know it was him. Like when he was talking to me. Like he had shaved his beard. I had no idea who I was talking to. I said, well, I didn't know this dude. What's he talking to me for? And then I realized who it was. I started laughing. I was like, dude, you look so different without a beard. But that's a guy that got really gay real quick. I didn't mean for it to go that direction. But yeah, he's a good dude. He can fight too.
That's awesome. Look at it. See?
Yeah, that's gonna be actually a good card. You know, the Marcel Stamps and Mike Richmond fight should be fun.
I am so excited about that fight. Did you see the weigh-ins?
I didn't. No, I didn't see it.
Oh.
I thought the weigh-ins today was weirder with the one guy kind of pulling them in and they ought to be separated. That was goofy.
You know, that's the same dude that tried to attack somebody right before the fight. That dude's crazy, man. That you remember he fought the UFC, the guy that grabbed the dude by the neck. I can't remember his name, but he fought a guy and it ended on like a real, like he was acting like he was hurt. He got hit and was like, you know, trying to sell it and then throwing punches and the ref stopped it. But yeah, he gets at weigh-ins. I don't know why they're not more ready for it. He gets into it people constantly. Like he's I don't know. He's the kind of guy that I think would probably, if he wasn't fighting, he would probably be assaulting and battering people on a regular basis. So.
Yeah.
That's messed up.
Fighting gives him his only avenue, I guess.
I want to know, who do you got? You think Josh Burns will knock out Frank Tate?
Man, I don't know. I've seen Tate fight a couple times. I don't know if I've seen Burns. I know the name, but I don't know if I've seen him fight. I would say, I'd say Burns probably. Because I know Tate's got a lot of heart, but I've seen it every time I've seen him fight. I think he got beat. I think I've seen him fight 3 different times and twice in person, and he got beat. So, sorry, Frank. I didn't mean to. Every time I've seen him,
throw him out there like that.
No, I have to ask these questions because I mean those are two of the big ones that I'm really excited about is Marine Richmond and Josh Burns, and I'm pretty sure Josh is going to knock out Frank.
Yeah,
we just had him on the show.
Yeah, like I said, I've seen him fight at least 2, I think 3 times, and he lost every time, twice in person. So it is what it is.
What do you think? Do you think Marine Richmond or the other guy?
I don't know enough about him to tell you honestly. I don't follow bare knuckle unless someone I know is fighting. Typically, I don't really, or like Chris Lieben or somebody. I love the fight when Paulie Malignaggi got beat by Artem. That cracked me up, you know. And I'm not really an Artem fan, but I was like, I don't know, Paulie. They give him a hard time. I think he's a decent dude, but it shocked me that he lost in bare knuckle boxing. Blew me away. I thought he would. I'm still waiting. They never came out with the training footage of him and McGregor, right? Like I heard it was going to be on Netflix like 2 years ago, and it never happened. But I would love to see that sparring footage. Because they both have their side of the story, so somebody's got to be lying, you know.
What do you think?
I hear you. We've been waiting to see it. It's kind of the lost footage at this point in time.
Yeah.
You'd figure with all the bad PR Connor's giving himself over the past 2 years, he'd have released it just to. You know,
as soon as he punches somebody at a bar, be like, by the way, that's on Netflix tonight if you guys want to watch it.
Now, the other one I was looking forward to was Lorenzo Hunt and Josh D. Dyer. That should be fun, too, because Lorenzo's been knocking people out silly.
Yeah, he's been doing well.
He really has. Hey, what do you guys think about Floyd Mayweather?
Oh, God, stop with that thing. I don't even... me and my co-host for my show are taking all bets on Floyd taking a flop and just taking a payday.
Out, Steve. Repeat that again.
I said we're all taking bets on Floyd taking a flop and taking a payday.
You think he would do that?
Shit,
that's why I was going to put $25,000 on Floyd Mayweather when he boxed Conor McGregor, because I was like, "There's no way in hell he can beat him." And then I thought about it at the last minute. I was like, "Who knows if Floyd? I mean, I don't think he would let him beat him, but I thought if he got beat by Conor, they would fight at least 2 more times to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars. And that's the only reason at the last minute I put like, I think just 2,000 on Conor. Cause I was like, or not on Conor, I'm sorry, on Floyd, because it was like, at the time I was betting he was negative 350. And I was like, you can't get a more sure thing. You know what I mean? Even though you're only getting, a third of your money, I was like, there is no, I mean,
if there is any time for him to do it, it would be this one.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Jake, or what's his name? Logan Paul is huge compared to him. I think he's, probably like 50 pounds heavier, 60 pounds heavier. So, but I just don't think he'll be able to hit him. I don't, I've boxed with pro boxers. Even like when I boxed with middleweights, I couldn't hit him. And I wasn't very good stand up anyway, but I could never hit the smaller, faster guys at all. Like not even once. I'd box an entire 3 or 4 rounds with them. Wouldn't touch them one time. They're just too good with distance and speed. And, but when you're that much bigger, and the Paul brothers, they catch a lot of slack, but those guys are athletes, man. They can box. They can box a little bit. They look, I think Logan looks better than Jake when he boxes, like as far as more smoother, and more natural at it. So I can't believe he lost to that guy. He lost to Logan Paul did. I thought he easily won that fight when I watched it, but I don't know.
Yeah, that's amazing. See?
Hey man,
We got 1 minute left.
Yeah, we do. So I think
and I was going to ask about his social media, but I'm like,
how much left?
Yeah,
I'm like, how does everybody find you?
Yeah, they can. I mean, if they can. I mean, I'm just my regular name on Facebook, but I just bit my tongue. That's why I talked weird.
That's okay.
Regular name on Facebook. I don't accept anybody's friend requests anymore because I'm at my limit. And then I don't have a fan page because I'm not that pretentious. And if you're joining my fan page, that's sad for you. That's what people used to tell me all the time. How do I know you're the real Sean McCorkle? I was like, it'd be really sad if there were a fake one. Hey, real quick story since we have 30 seconds.
Yes.
One time I was on a Periscope giving these kids a hard time in the middle of the night because I was bored on a Saturday night. And this kid looked at it's connected to your Twitter. He looks on there and was like, dude, not only are you pretending to be somebody else, you're pretending to be a fighter that sucks. Like, why wouldn't you pick someone else that was good if you're going to pretend to be a fighter? I was like, no, that's really me. I'm telling these kids on because I was giving them a hard time. Like, I don't know. I just used to randomly get on Periscope and give people a hard time on their live videos. And the guy goes, you picked a terrible fighter. And I was like, no, it's really me. He said, I'm pretty sure the real Sean McCorkle has something better to do at midnight on a Saturday night than troll 2 16-year-olds.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, and I was like, yeah, you're probably right. He's probably real cool, did something awesome. Yeah, just never mind, whatever. I was like, you guys are right. He's probably a real cool guy because it was like it was like a moment of clarity for me. Like, what am I doing with my life? I'm on here harassing strangers, just trying to make myself laugh. So, yeah, that's so yeah. My Twitter is @BigSexyMcCorkle just to make people mad, and then my Instagram, I think, is SMcCorkle23, but I'm really not positive. I don't remember. I don't use it anymore. I stopped using Instagram when they started banning stuff, and I'm about to stop using Twitter and Facebook if they're not banning me just because I'm tired of the censorship. It's ridiculous. So.
Oh, we'll have to make sure we catch you before you go dark.
Yes, I know. We're losing your
literally
face.
and
you need to
figuratively.
give him a flashlight and hold it up to your face like this, like I am.
It'd be like a scary.
Sexy.
If you guys want to hear a scary story, I'll tell you one of Brendan Schaub's jokes from his comedy special. I'll scare the shit out of you. Not really, but he did have a joke on his comedy special where he said him and his brother went to a gas station, and his brother went in to get snacks, and he said, "Bring me a Slurpee." And everyone stared at him at the gas station. That was the punchline. It was like, oh, good one, man. That's some groundbreaking shit right there. So, if you haven't watched this special, I suggest you don't. But
I
agree. I think ATD stands for not to disagree with that one tonight.
Not to disagree with that one. Oh my God, Sean! I'm so going to hit you up and have you on. We're gonna talk some other stuff.
Okay, yeah, for sure.
I've been waiting. I'm like, Pat will do it. You'll do it. I'm like, oh my gosh, let's do it.
Yeah,
I want to talk about it so bad.
Pat's an awesome guy. He's a true patriot. He really is. He speaks the truth all day long. That's why he does much long either. So
yeah, he just recently they let him go from where he was because of
just for being at the Capitol that day that all that stuff happened. Which I heard was a bunch of BS. I heard it was the biggest attack ever on the United States. I guess they forgot about Pearl Harbor and 9/11. But nobody.
And do you know that they're still detaining those people in federal prison right now? They're still detaining them.
Completely unconstitutional. They're detaining them, and the crazy thing about the whole thing is one person died, and it's because a Capitol officer shot the person. The cop
Yes.
that died of a stroke. It's the coroner, the people they did an autopsy, he died of a stroke, and they said it wasn't like a stress-induced stroke, like he was, I guess, in bad health anyway. A couple other people died there, but same deal. They were 75, or they were, had bad health, had a heart attack or whatever. But it's the betrayal, and I don't think those people should have done that. And if you're breaking in the Capitol and you get shot, that's your problem. I don't think, I wouldn't have gone in the building, if they're saying stop, if cops are pointing guns at you. But to act as if that's anywhere near what happened in Minneapolis is stupidity. It's not mostly peaceful protest as the city's burning behind him. It's the craziest. It's all, I don't know. The funny thing is the whole left and the whole liberal thing, they don't care about minorities. They don't care about black people or Mexicans or anything like that. They don't care about them. So it's all about staying in power, in my opinion. It's all about staying in power. And it's, like I said, if we could just save one life, except for all the babies we abort, or except for, everybody that doesn't have health care. But if we could just save one life, it's ridiculous. So
I appreciate you, Sean. I really do.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me.
We are at 8:05, and I know Steve is like, we gotta go. But Sean, I am definitely going to reach out to you. I think Steve has your contact information and have you on another show if that's okay.
Yep, that's no problem. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for
no
coming
problem
on
connecting
tonight.
you two. The obvious reason why we had Sean on tonight.
Yeah, I know. Steve was like, I got two really good ones for you. And I'm like, yes, Patriots. Thank you so much, Sean. You have a good weekend, okay?
Yep. See you.
It was awesome getting to know you.
Yep, thanks.
Thanks, Sean.
Have a good one.
Okay, you guys, that's another wrap up of this week. Two great, amazing people on our show tonight. I am so excited. I can't wait till next week. Next week is our Mother's Day show, and then we'll go into the big show, Roundtable, in June for Father's Day. So I've got some great guests lined up, and oh my gosh, you guys have got to tune in for Mother's Day for that Friday, because you'll be shocked at who we got on the show. You'll love these ladies. All right, guys, I'll see you next Friday. See you guys. Ciao. Mwah.